Hey there, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and we are doing a craft today inspired by this thrift store find. So just a little tiny little desk lamp. I got it from Goodwill for $2.49. It was, oh, that's just a piece of it. It was apparently made in India for HomeSense because I'm pulling up a little bit of a HomeSense sticker. So here's my thought. I'm thinking this sounds like it's hard plastic maybe or cardboard. So I drilled a little hole in it. And what I want to do, because I want to cut out a big circle. So I'm just going to take a little bit of, oh, you can go away now. I'm just going to take a little bit of string. I'm going to tie a knot in it on one end. And do that around. I have a screw sitting here. I wonder if that'll fit. You don't have to stay there long, just a little bit. Okay, so we get that in. I'm going to put this around my screw. And how big do I need? Just there-ish. So I want another loop with a knot on this end. So complicated. This is the hardest part. I want to cut a big hole in it. So I'm thinking, how big is that going to be? If I had a screwdriver, that would be easier. Well, you're actually not a screwdriver. Well, you are, just not the one I need. That'll make my hole bigger. Oh, that stuff's gonna be hard to cut. Yikes. Not sure what I'm gonna use to cut into that. I haven't figured that part out yet. Are you gonna be big enough? I want it a little bigger. So what I'm looking at doing, I don't have, what were those things from school called? Protractors? Is that what they were? That you could have, you would have to draw a circle. It had a pointy end and then, I don't know. So I'm just faking this. I'm just seeing whether or not I'm going to be able to see that. Not very well. All right, try a marker. I'm going to be painting the globe anyway, so now that's too low. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think that should maybe work. Okay, pretty close. All right, that was my moment of genius here. That was just so that I could have a circle. What I want to do is cut that circle out. I know I can drill into this, so I'm just not, so I'm thinking I may have to drill holes all the way around it because I don't really have a saw that I can get down in there at all. But I was thinking if I drill holes all the way around, it might weaken it enough. Or I could take, then I could take my utility knife. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple of drill holes in a line. Now that I've said the word utility knife, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna draw a couple of holes in a line so that I can get my utility knife in and see if it can cut. Okay, this is gonna be noisy. Okay, I just remembered that I had a Dremel tool and that's working. So I'm going to use this cutting blade to kind of try and cut fairly circular. It'll be close. It won't be perfect. But there you go. If you have a Dremel, that'll work. Okay, that was easier than I thought with the Dremel, and I was able to use a grinding tool. I don't know why I forgot that I had it. I used to use it all the time, and then all of a sudden, I totally forgot I had it. Okay, I need to use that more because that made my life super easy. And this was a plastic insert, so cutting through it with the Dremel was a breeze. I put safety glasses on over top of these glasses and then grinding it as well, but perfect. So here's what's gonna happen off camera. I'm gonna paint the inside with bayberry, so a dark green from Fusion, and I'm probably gonna paint that metal rod, as much of it as I can see. So the rod doesn't move, so I only have to paint the one side, not a big deal. And I'm gonna paint the outside just of the globe part in French eggshell. And then I am gonna rub dark wax in. I want this a little bit darker. I don't want it brown, but just, I'm gonna rub dark wax into it. And then we'll come back and we'll get to the point behind why the heck I had to cut a hole in this to begin with. Okay, let me give you an idea of what's been happening here. So here is, our base is darkened with the dark wax, so it just looks a little bit more earthy. I've painted the outside. It's wet right now. It's got a second coat of our French eggshell. But what I did do was I painted that dark green, the bayberry on the inside, and it was too dark. So when it was wet, I added in a cream. And so they kind of blended. So it's kind of like this light greeny sort of khaki color, which is perfect because we're going to be adding a bunch of green in there, and it just looked too dark, so I lightened it up. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm making little mini books. So I'm just cutting down. So I've got these ones over here. They have to be weighted because they're gluing, but I cut down some little cardstock and scored them so that they would have a little bit of a spine, so that they weren't just one fold. They've got a little bit of a spine to them. And then I am taking scrap white paper, measuring it up, kind of folding it over loosely, cutting those pages in half, and then folding it over again, just so that I have enough book pages. So I want them all loose, not folded. Cut this guy off. And then, I need more for you. Well, let's just do a bunch more for that other one, since he's a fat book. And then all I'm doing is I'm taking white glue, putting it down along the spine, and then sticking all of those loose pages into the book. I just need them all to be glued in place. I don't need them to be functional pages. I'm not doing this so anybody can write on them. And then I am just tucking them under and weighting them down just at the very edge of them, and weighting them down here to let the glue dry there. That's all I'm doing today, is I'm making some little books to be able to put them in our little vignette that we're building. And tomorrow I'll show you where we're going. Our globe has had overnight to dry, so we're all set. We're all set to carry on. Now, the first thing that I want to do, I mean, it is possible. Yeah, still possible to turn this inside kind of dowel. I'm gonna glue it so I can't, because we're gonna be positioning items around that post that if it moves, it's gonna break everything. So the thing that I have to do is just kind of position the hole ultimately where I want its final resting place to be. And I'm not too worried about whether my glue will show, because my glue gun doesn't fit all the way in, because we're going to be covering most of that anyway. There we go. Just let that kind of drip in place to the final position. And we're going to let that dry in place while I talk about a little bit about where we're going with this. So here's my vision. I want to set up like a vignette on the inside, and I needed to have some kind of a little, I mean, you could do it so that it's just a little room. You make the little room. You could put a little figure in it. I took a look in the shop to see what little figures that I had. I mean, I had some bunnykins that I'm saving because they've got a broken ear or cracked leg or something that I thought, well, they're beautiful still, so I can't sell them, but I could maybe incorporate them into a craft. But the ones that are broken are too large. So I was thinking that I'd have to go searching for some little figure, and I just had it in my head. I wanted a little critter of some kind in there. And then I looked on the felting shelf, and I remembered I had this little mouse that I had made. So this was my inspiration. This is the reason that we made all those little books. So the first thing I'm going to do is I do have this one little book that I had. I didn't make this one. This is one that I just had just in my little stash of, gee, someday I'll use them in a craft thing. And so I'm just going to glue it into his paws, because for whatever reason I gave this little guy arms, and I haven't done that on anything really. So we've got him, so he's holding those. Now the only other thing that I wanted to do is, maybe because we made those other books, and that's the reason why, is that figure, glue. And I did just little loose pages of little writing that we can scatter around. I just wanted to set it up so that he's kind of, you know, he's a little bookish. He's a little bookish mouse. So we're gonna have him holding a book and reading, but I thought maybe I might be able to make a little pair of spectacles to sit on his nose. So I have this really fine black wire. I figure the worst thing that happens is that they look stupid and we don't use them. So I just have to find the end. Okay. So what I thought that I'd do is just kind of wrap this around just a small little end a couple of times, and then wrap it around a couple of times again. I need to get a pair of wire cutters. You're too big, you're too big. You're perfect. Okay. Cut off the other wee end. And then squish them all together so it looks like one. And then I just want to bend them. looking down in my tool drawer here for a little set of pliers to just kind of bend them around to create a bit of the nose piece. Oh, your nose is further apart. I didn't know how far apart his nose was. So I did do extra rolls on the glasses part so that I could unravel things if I needed to. Okay. All right. There's his little glasses. You know what? It's just cute. It just makes him look a little more bookish. So, in anticipation of this, the only other thing that I did last night was I felted a couple of little toadstools to go in. Now, they're big, but they might add some color. And I don't have to use them. I just have them in case. But, you know, that's the way it goes. So what I'm going to do now, if this is dry, okay, this is dry. I'm going to work on it this way so that I can pull you guys in overhead and we can see. Okay, yeah. So it still turns. It's just the rod turns with it. I'm just going to get a bit of a towel and roll it up on either side so that I create a little bit of a holder. I can nest that in, and then we'll start decorating. In which case, I have a couple of little books that we made that we could put up on a shelf. I dug out a couple of tiny little, I mean, these guys are little tiny metal pots and a little concrete ones that, again, I might want to put up on a shelf or a table. I have little greenery. I have all kinds of moss, you know, that green stuff. And I also grabbed a bunch of sticks from outside, and a couple of them have really cool little curlicues, little vines on them. So that'll be interesting. I do want to put maybe like a stick up in kind of covering the pole, glued to the pole, but we'll see how it goes. So we're just going to kind of start to build this guy, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, the first thing that I want to do is I want to work on the background because it's a little more challenging to get down in there. And so what I want to do is I've tried to look for some smaller greenery pieces that I could fit up there, and maybe some interesting little pieces of moss, right, that are maybe just a little bit different. And this is just a bag from the dollar store. I'm going to put green moss all down on the bottom, but this one at least has some. I'll get a bigger piece because I might just want to go for a big piece climbing up the wall. And it's got leaves in it and things, which I think is fabulous. So I'm going to try and put some glue down on this because it's going to be too awkward to be able to get my glue going in the right places. And I'm going to be a little challenged to not burn myself as I burn myself. So this is just a little fiddly, and I don't want you on that middle bar. I just want you on the back wall. Here we go. Just, again, little points of interest and greenery, and I mean, he's a mouse. he's gonna be living in stuff. All right, so my challenge with you is going to be not burning my finger. I think that some of those are going to be a little big. And I think I might need, or want, rather, another little piece of that going up the wall. Because that's the back wall and it's lighter, it'll kind of show off some of my decor elements a little better. There's not tons of space back there, but there's space. So let's maybe take a little piece of greenery. And bear in mind, my mouse is fairly big. So he's going to be sitting like up front here. So we do want to leave a little bit of space for us to be able to see some other things. Okay, if I tuck that way in the back. I need something longer. There we go. Okay, I'm thinking that I better get my green moss down in there before I start examining any of my other elements, just so that I make sure I have some spacing and things working in my favor. And I might need to kind of tilt that up so I can see. Okay, oh, that just makes it look nice and cozy. All right, so I need a little bit more. Going the other way. Too big, too big, too big. That's better. And now I can start doing little pieces. And I want to have like some of those pieces coming out the mouth of this as well. I don't want it to look as though, you know, it's not natural or part of things. So where are we at? All right, we need a little something kind of going up those walls a bit, and maybe a little bit more of that other moss. Okay, cool. All right, so kind of looking cozy in there. What I was hoping for was to have maybe sort of like a bench in the back, but I'm thinking I cut some little pieces to be able to form that, and I think that might not likely work. So I'm just wondering if I have a piece of my sticks, like look how interesting that stick is, that if I put it toward the back, if I could rest some books on it. Like this section looks like it curves just about right, doesn't it? For what I need. I just, I need you to be there. And we'll maybe bring that curly guy back in after. Oh my goodness. let's see if we can squeeze them in. And without totally burning me. But now my mouse is on the wrong side. Okay, maybe we gotta put the mouse over here. It's getting pretty crowded for my little mouse. Let me try and turn. I am definitely not going to need... All right, I was over ambitious with the making of books and getting jugs and things. I might save those for a bigger project and possibly a bigger globe where I have a lot more room to start building tables and things, because this is full. If I had my mouse, I'm pretty full. I'm just looking at different places to tuck him that might... Okay, so if I tuck him back in there instead, then I have a little bit more space. Oh, you're just too much. You're just too much. You're gonna add a little bit more greenery in the front here. I almost don't need anything else. He's just kind of peeking out there. The little glasses and the little book kind of make it. I might grab just a couple of little sprigs of flowers to just have the little individual flowers poking out. And then I think he could be done. I just want to cover up that post. All right, so I did not have nearly as much room as I anticipated inside this. And you know what? That's on me. It was just, I could have measured, I could have looked, but I now have a little bag of miniature items that I will use on other things because I'm liking this. I think with making a little felted creature, this is kind of a cool way for me to be able to use that. So maybe I gotta look for something else that I'm gonna do a gnome home, and it'll be bigger because they're bigger, and we'll kind of go from there. But I gotta tell you, it's super sweet. And I love how it turned out anyway. I mean, he looks super cozy in there. He's reading his little book. I'm thinking he's a he. I like the touch of his little glasses on his little face, right? Because it's not super bright in there. It ruined his eyes. That'll teach you. But yeah, just super cute. Now again, you don't have to have a little felted mouse. You could do this anytime that you're thrifting, or if you're at the dollar store and you see a little figure that you think would be cute. Fun little way of using this. You could put them in an old alarm clock. You could do the vignette in there rather than cutting open a globe. Although I really like the little globe and the stand. I like how we darkened it out. I'm kind of loving this right now. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and I'm kind of proud of me. You know, you're catching me in the moment. By tomorrow, it will have worn off, but I'm filming now. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. Let me know if you're gonna be on the lookout for a little desk globe now. And super cute. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one as always. And until then, guys, take care.